Hi everyone, Jessica here, welcome back to my channel. So this is the last card making video for Christmas in July, and I do still have then a bonus portfolio or folio project to share with you next week. But for this card I'm doing something different. So all of the 4 cards that I've created in this Christmas in July series all fall under a slightly different category of type of cards. So we had the cute cards, we had batch making cards, we had alternative design cards, and I really wanted to have a go at creating something just completely from scratch. I am by no means someone who is really able to draw, or certainly not paint or anything like that, but I really wanted to just give it a go and sort of see what it is that I could maybe create just off the sort of top of my head, just create for myself rather than using sort of stamps and dies and things like that to kind of help with those elements that maybe I'm not necessarily as good at. So that's what I'm going to do for today's card. So we don't always have to use all of these products and new products that come out. We can just create something by hand. So that's what I'm doing today. I'm going to be creating these cards, which is a branch, and it's going to have some baubles hanging from it. And I'm using my Arteza watercolor paints here for this. So I'm creating 2 cards that you can see because I've already got it out. This was a little bit time consuming to do, I'll be honest, because certainly with this portion of painting these branches, I was kind of trying to do a really good job at it and get some sort of depth and make it look kind of as realistic as possible. But I am creating 2. So I've got some watercolor card here. This is the Creative Expressions watercolor card that I like to use. Again, these are the Arteza watercolor paints. So I will put links in the description box down below and over on my blog, on my website as well. You'll be able to find links to the products that I've used there. So I'm just kind of going in here. You can see I sort of started off by drawing the branch itself because I still wanted you to be able to see that. And then I'm coming in, I think I do I do that really base light layer. I came in then with a slightly darker color just to kind of build it up a little bit. I wanted to kind of get that variation of color in there, make it look kind of as realistic as possible. And then I came in with this darker green color here, and I'm not trying to cover as much area. I'm trying to make it look like sort of individual needles or leaves, whatever it is going to be. I'm just trying to get that little bit of variation in there, so you can see you've got the lighter color underneath, like you can see here, and then I'm just coming in with kind of more of an individual kind of flicking motion, just to try and give it a little bit of depth and make it look a little bit more realistic. I did have a little look through YouTube and looking at sort of hand painted Christmas cards. Obviously there's a lot of very talented painters and drawers out there. I kind of picked a design that I thought would maybe be kind of an easy-ish one to do. And yeah, some people out there have got some really great sort of alternative, they don't always have to be absolutely perfect, but some more kind of loose watercolor style ones. And I try to just kind of think about pushing myself, but to see really what is it that I could create kind of well myself. But the branches of these, I absolutely loved how they came out. I think they do look really nice and realistic. You've got the different shades in there, like I said, for that depth, to give it that little bit of depth. But yeah, it's just nice to create something different. This I've sped up. I think this is about 7 times the speed. Like I said, I did spend quite a bit of time doing these, but it was really nice just to have a go at doing something different. So now I'm going to come in and do the baubles. So the baubles are going to be hanging from the branch. And I went in, rather than going in with a pencil, I went in with just a really light sort of like beigey coloured pencil, just to kind of work out exactly where I wanted my baubles to go before then coming in to paint them. So the reason I used then a light maybe even a watercolor pencil would have been best, but you really don't see any of the pencil marks by the time I finished this. But rather than coming in with just a regular lead pencil, because I find that is then harder to hide behind any sort of colouring. So we're going to do just red and gold baubles, and again you can see very much just freehand with this, so the baubles really aren't perfect at all, but again it's a handmade card. We talk about that when doing die cutting and stamping and colouring and things. It really is no different when it comes to doing something like this, which really, to me, really is a huge part of, you know, like a handmade kind of card, is where you're really kind of doing everything from scratch. So we've got a couple different shapes. Some of my circles and that didn't work out, so they ended up being more like a teardrop and things like that. So again, it just made it all a little different. So I kind of put that base layer down. My idea was going to be, and again from some of the videos that I watched, and that was to kind of get that base layer down, come in, then let that dry, or dry it with my heat tool, let that kind of dry back, and then come in obviously with a darker color, or like a darker version of that color, and really try to get the make it look like it is 3D. So really get those kind of shadows and the highlight areas in there. Again, this is probably where you know, I don't have the skill. It is something that you kind of need to practice at. I don't do this very often at all to really be particularly great at it, but yeah, just trying to come in with that extra like shaded parts to really give it that three-dimensional kind of look was what I was going for, but it didn't quite work, certainly when I tried it on that first one. So I did decide then to add just some light decorations onto the baubles. So this one here, you can see I'm just adding some red dots just in that slightly darker color, and then I'm going to come in and yeah, just do different designs on the different baubles. So again, using like the same color that I've used, but not kind of diluting it quite as much with the water, so it does stand out a little bit more. And then what I will do, but I ended up not having reason, is I do pencil, or so I'll do it in pencil first, but then I need to add the top of the baubles, and then I do add sort of bows and strings and make it look like they are in from the branch itself, which gives it that nice little finishing touch. So you can see this one here again. So I didn't want to do a design on even upside the screen. I tried to sort of come in with this one didn't come out too badly, but yeah, it didn't kind of have that 3D look that kind of came around that. I saw people using then coloured pencils, watercolour pencils, and really added detail with the colouring pencil. Also, them I think it looked okay, and certainly on the gold ones, I was able to kind of get it a bit more with the using. It necessarily work particularly well. You can see that I've got solid pencils. Maybe that was the problem. I wasn't then able to kind of blend that back out to water. Pencils, and then if it didn't quite look how I wanted it to, I've got the ability to kind of just knock that back and try it again if that's what and get that sort of look. So just when I finish adding the designs onto these baubles, again, my next video is a bonus video where I'm creating a Christmas next Saturday at 5 o'clock. So I'm scheduling for 5 p.m. If you're not subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you don't miss out on videos. A couple of albums and things coming up that I want to create as well. So just adding some stuff. Can hide a multitude of problems. I didn't have it necessarily. So I did pencils. So again, the gold I think kind of worked nicely. And it was like really quite the right shade of red to begin with, and it you can see I've used black fine liner, and I sort of made it look like the branch, which I think was just a really nice little added detail to it as well. So now we've got the card actually finished. So we're going to stamp our sentiment and actually put the card together. So this is an old stamp set. It was done by Altenew, but it came free with one of the magazines. I'd imagine probably the Simply Cards and Papercraft from a few years ago. And I do believe I have a few videos, or at least one video that I can think of on my channel where I've used this stamp set, and I think I made a card and a matching envelope, and I really loved the sentiments, and it came with some layering bells that you can use and some really nice foliage stamps as well. So I didn't want to add kind of too much more onto the card to make it kind of too busy or take away from anything, so I decided literally just to stamp straight onto the card rather than stamping on a separate piece of card and then adding it over the top. So just because the designs were ever so slightly different between the two cards, I did stamp one of the sentiments on one side and the other on the other side as well. But again, because it was nice and thick, it did stand out really nicely against that background. So unlike the other cards in this Christmas in July series, I did make coloured card bases for all of these using some hunky-dory adorable scoreable cardstock, because it's white on one side and you've got the colour on the other. But those cards, all of them that I've created so far have been A6 sized cards, but for these I made 5x7 because I wanted to give myself as much space as possible, and I think I only had one sheet of this kind of a sandy gold kind of colour that I wanted to use because I thought that fitted in really nicely with the colours that I've used on here. So I'm just making a regular card, matte and layering it flat. So I'm gluing this down, and that's because obviously we've used a lot of water on here. I have used my heat gun, so it is slightly warped. So when I've can see that it's slightly warped, I would rather glue it down flat just to prevent any kind of warping or for you to see any kind of warping, and then using some foam to pop it onto the card base, which I did here. So I think I had like 3 strips to the back of this just to help support it, even though 2 probably would have been fine, sort of top and bottom, because you've got the nice thick cardstock there from the watercolour card, and then also that adorable scoreable was fine as well. And then I can pop this onto a 5x7 card to make it a landscape, sort of top folding landscape card. And yeah, I really love how these turned out. Again, I can kind of pick problems in it, obviously because I've done it, and like I said, you know, it's not something that I profess to be particularly great at, but it was really nice again just to sit down and do something a little bit different, sort of be creative in a slightly different way. So, you know, if you've got some supplies, whether it's colouring pencils, watercolour paints, acrylic paints, whatever it is, you know, sometimes it is nice just to sit down and sort of have a go and, yeah, see if it's something that you enjoy, something you want to get better at, or, you know, potentially something that you just rule out and decide that you don't want to do for yourself again. So to finish the card off, I used some, I think this is the pale gold, and I added quite a few drops just literally around the card. We've got the splatter already on the background, so it just added a little bit of sparkle on here, and then that is going to finish these cards. So obviously we'll be making more cards at Christmas time, a little bit closer to Christmas. I was a little late coming into the Christmas in July series, but so again, like I said at the beginning, we've got 4 different style cards depending on what kind of crafting you really like to do, but they all kind of fall under 4 different umbrellas of the type of cards that you can create. And then, as I said, I've got next week's video is going to be that bonus Christmas planner portfolio, which I'm really excited about. It's got a paper, a notepad in there that you can swap out each year. So I'm really excited about that one. So again, if you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on those. And again, then we'll be back later on in the year creating some more Christmas projects. Like I said, got some portfolio, some mini albums and other folios and things that I do want to share as well. I've got a haul coming up as well. So if any of that takes your fancy, then definitely hit that subscribe button. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up because it really does help to support my channel. And that's going to be it for today's video. So thanks very much for watching and happy crafting.